Okay, I actually forgot what the title of this video was meant to be. I think it's meant to be how to thrive being the outcast or something like that. How to thrive being the outcast. Okay, I wrote down a few things to help guide me this time because I came up with 7 points or so. Okay, so earlier I did another video about being the outcast, and still in the same following the same theme. Forgot to put my rings on, but anyway, um, mm, as a woman who's always felt like the outcast, who's always felt like someone who's different, who's always felt like misunderstood. Um, since from a very young age. Let me put my timer on so I know that I'm only using about.
It's one thing.
So let's see, 35 minutes. Okay. Right, okay. Yeah, so as a woman who's always been the outcast, like I was saying, and seeing that as being something that is wrong, seeing being of and feeling that being different and being not able to fit in. It's not that you're not able to fit in, it's just that when you fit in, you don't feel like yourself. You have difficulty actually fitting in. Even when you're in a crowd, you feel alone. And for someone who's been like this since from a very young age, like I said in the other video, that's who you're meant to be. And society and the world at large has probably made you feel like that's wrong. That's like that's like an anomaly, that you're not supposed to be like that. And it's made you suppress it. It's made you suppress this part of you. It's made you feel ashamed of being, the outcast. And this video I'm making right now is to do the opposite, is to empower you as the outcast. Because if you are the outcast and you know that you're the outcast, and you felt like that since you were a child, there's nothing you can do about that. That's how you are in this world. You have to figure out a way uh, how you can live in this world and thrive in this world, being who you are as a woman, and not feeling like you have to overly compromise all the time, especially in relationships. We're going to get to relationships, but first, you have to embrace being the outcast. That's the first thing. You have to own who you are. You have to own your you have to own yourself as an outcast. That's the first thing. And the way you own yourself as an outcast and actually thrive being the outcast is you have to be. I've written down 7 things that you should should start practicing doing. And the first one is you have to prepare to shock. If you've pushed down this part of you that's always felt different, always felt misunderstood, always felt like a, uh, like an outcast, um, you've tried to fit in. You've tried to do things like the way other people are doing them because you don't want to seem so different. You don't want to ruffle feathers, as they say, or you don't want people to overly criticize you, or you don't want people to be shocked. But like I said, if you're an outcast and it's in you, that's who you are. So you have to embrace that part of you. You have to prepare to shock people. And some of the examples I gave here is, are you a sexual person? If you, especially as a woman, even for men, but more so as a woman. If you are naturally sexual, you have to think back. For me, it's like I didn't notice, but from a very young age, from the first time I could remember, I think I must have been about 9 years old or so, maybe 9 years here in the Gambia. And I think I was watching, I don't know what I was watching, but I saw this woman, she was so I could feel that she was so confident in herself. She was so secure in her body and in her sexuality. And I said to myself there and then, as young as I was, I said to myself, I want to be like this woman. Now, when you're a child, you just sense things. You don't know how to articulate it, but as a child, you know who you are. And this woman is Cher. The woman that I saw on TV was Cher, because she was the one that, before I actually got to know other Black women like me, um, she was the one that I saw on TV. She was the first woman that I saw on TV who was so sexually confident in her body, and she was unapologetic about it. And this other woman, what's her name again? She's a singer. How can I forget her? Okay. Um, Wait a minute. She sang this song, The Way We Were. What's her name again? The Way We Were. The Way We Were. Barbara Streisand. Barbara Streisand. Yes. These are the two women that I saw first on TV, and they were so confident in themselves. To me, I don't know what was going through my mind as a 9-year-old, but I knew somehow that this is who I want to be when I grew up. And I couldn't articulate it, because as a 9-year-old, you can't articulate certain things, but you can sense things, and you can feel things viscerally. And yeah, that was one of the incidents where I knew that this is a part of me that I really, really want to show, that I really want to express. But being raised in a community where that is frowned upon and forbidden almost, I had to suppress that part of me. But that's always been a part of me. I like to show my body. I don't see anything shameful about it. I like to show my body. I like to wear clothes that show my sensuality. And if you are a woman like that too, that if you resonate with this, you may have also suppressed this part of you. But that's the part of you that you have to start bringing out, especially as women. We have done that a lot. Yeah, especially as women. And if you're an outcast, it's not always the part of you that's sexual that you've suppressed. There are other parts of you that you've also suppressed, but this part is one major part that a lot of women have suppressed. And especially if you're an outcast, it's going to be more, if you're the outcast, it's going to be much more, what will I call it? You're going to feel it much more viscerally than other women. The other thing is also, are you working a job that you hate, that's draining the life out of you? Because that's what, the people around you are doing, and the people around you say that you should do too. But deep, deep, deep down inside of you, you know that you want to be maybe a tarot reader, or you want to be, I don't know, maybe you want to work in a kind of eccentric trade that you have a natural talent for. But because that is something that has been frowned upon, and you would have been your nature as an outcast would have been really expressed when you were young. If you really followed that path, you suppress that part of you too. So if you're working in a job that's draining the life out of you, for the sake of fitting in, and you're feeling it very viscerally right now, especially that you have to leave that job, make preparations to leave, because it's not gonna serve you. It's not gonna serve you. The money that you're making is not gonna be worth it. It's not gonna be worth the heartache and the pain that you're gonna feel. Or are you called to live in a certain country, for whatever reason, but you're scared to go because that would make you seem like an outcast, but you're already an outcast. So it's all of these are things that you have to start considering as an outcast. In embracing your outcastness, if you will, in embracing your nature as an outcast, you cannot do things the way other people are doing them because that's not your nature. You're not in this world to do things the way other people are doing them. And it's time that you recognize it, and it's time that you start practicing a little bit to to express this side of you, this nature of you. The second thing is let the monster out. Let the monster out. Let the part of you that you've been so terrified of, and the part of you that you think or you believe that other people are going to be terrified of, just let it out. Let it be what it is. It's killing you literally to keep it in. I've always been told that I'm blunt since I was young. I don't know how to sugarcoat things. Okay, I do try to make things sound a bit palatable, and I'm sure if you're watching me, you could even tell right now that I'm doing that a little bit. But I used to be much, much worse than this. I used to kind of not say what I wanted to say because I wanted to please everybody else. And then afterwards, when I go and lie down, I'll feel this heartache and pain. Why didn't I say this? Why didn't I say what I wanted to say? Why didn't I say what it took me so long for me to be able to say exactly what I want to say, no matter how it sounds, no matter how it lands. It's not that I'm trying to hurt people. It's not that I'm trying to um, um, be mean. It's just that the way I can express my truth, when I say it, it comes out in a straightforward way, and it comes out in a way that seems to other people as blunt. And people have told me this, that people have told me this, that you don't know how to, you're not diplomatic, you don't know how to sugarcoat things and make them sound nice and make them sound. And to me now it sounds like, it doesn't sound exactly like lying, but it does sound a little bit like lying, because to me it's like you're not saying exactly what you want to say. You're trying to please people, so you're not actually saying the truth. You're just saying it because you want other people not to be hurt. But they didn't ask you, they didn't tell you that they're going to be hurt. That's number one. Number two, they didn't ask you to tell them something that is going to make them feel nice and warm inside. They asked you to tell them the truth. So tell them that. And I'm not saying that you should go out and cuss everybody out. That's not my nature. I don't really. I know how to say things in a way that will be straightforward, but I will not, swear. And swearing is not something that I'm going to do. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying go out and swear at everybody. But if you occasionally want to swear in what you're saying, then by all means do that. It's not that you're swearing at people. That's just how you talk. And that's what I'm saying. Let the monsters out. Let yourself be who you are. You've been caricatured into a person, and that's what it is. It's a caricature. Many of us have been caricatured into this person that is it's almost like a Frankenstein creation of who you're supposed to be, and to fit in, to move in a way that doesn't hurt anyone, and to move in a way that is so careful and cautious, and it robs you of your nature. And if you are an outcast, and you know that you're an outcast, you are going to feel that much more than other people. You're going to feel that much more viscerally. The other thing is, yeah, what I want to, yeah, that's one thing. The other thing is that do you have a skill? Maybe you have a skill, or do you actually have a skill, or maybe you thrive in an area that is frowned upon. Um, we've all been like programmed to go look for certain jobs. There's only so many types of jobs and careers that exist in the world. Um, but there are other careers that how will I say this? Are necessary, but they actually come out of the darkness. Okay, what I mean by that is there are things that are needed for people to do that are not seen as palatable. Let's say, let's say for instance, killers. How do you call them? How do you contract killers? That's one example. Someone who's a contract killer. That's a frowned upon thing. No one grew up and say, I'm sure no one grew up and said, I want to be a killer. But maybe some people did grow up and say, when I grow up, I want to be a killer. But it's something that's frowned upon. But is it needed? Yeah, it is needed. Think about the James Bond character. The James Bond character 007, okay, is kill or be killed. Okay. License to kill or be killed. That's what his job is. It's a job that he's good at, and he thrives in it, and governments and institutions hire him to just do that job that is really, really frowned upon. And this, even though I'm talking about a movie, these jobs, these careers exist in the real world. Governments do hire contract killers. This is what I'm talking about. Do you have a skill that is like frowned upon? You're working in a job because you were told that this is what you're good at, this is what you should be doing. But do you actually, maybe you do have a job that is like, it's like an outcast job, a job, maybe you have a skill that is like an outcast skill, a skill that is like really, really frowned upon. Um, so yeah, that's one of the examples. Yeah, so I'm not giving you guys permission to go out and be killers, but I'm just giving an example. And if you are skilled in that area, what you do with that skill, that's your own call. But I'm just giving an example. The other example I want to give is could you be very skilled in being a madam, running a whorehouse, something like that? Do you know how many women are doing that all over the world? Maybe they grew up and said, I want to do this as a job. Maybe they didn't. Maybe the opportunity presented itself, and they became this kind of person. But the example I'm still giving is that it's a frowned upon thing, but they are good at it. So that's what I'm saying. Maybe you have another skill. Maybe you have a skill that is expressed in your darkness, or that expresses your darkness, where you're gonna thrive much, much more than the job that you have right now. And you have to figure that out. You have to figure out what exactly that is. And you cannot judge it. You cannot sit there and say, oh, well, I'm good at this, but um, it's frowned upon, it might even cross the line into illegal or legal, that kind of thing. But so I'm just gonna ignore it. Now you have to, as a person who's the outcast, who's always been outcast, you have to thread that line. You have to start questioning what exactly do you want? What exactly are you good at? What are you naturally good at? Even if it's frowned upon by society, you already are the outcast. You already almost frowned upon the way you are. So why not let your nature come out? The third thing is burn your image to the ground and build it back up. But this time, build it on your own ground. And this one is it's about image. Image is about what goes to please the collective. The collective is what decided that this is what looks palatable, and this is what looks unpalatable. This is what looks acceptable, and this is what looks unacceptable. And many of us build our images based on that. If you are an outcast, if you are the outcast, you might have built your image based on that. And what I'm talking about are things like being responsible. Being responsible is seen by the collective as an acceptable thing. Like, working a responsible job, paying bills, building a family, blah, 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 the normal toe the line kind of thing. As an outcast, you that's against your very nature. You're not the type of a person. So the image that you were told to build and that you have built up to where you are now, and you know this, you know that this image is not your nature, and you know that it is sucking the life out of you. So you have to be prepared to burn that image down to the ground. All the scrambling you're doing to try to keep up that image, running around, trying to appear responsible, running around trying to appear, what is that, right? Trying to look like a professional, a professional image, running around trying to be a giver to everybody else, running around trying to be a people pleaser, when you know that that's not your nature. That doesn't mean that you don't give and you don't dress like a professional if you want to. But is that who you really are? Or is that what you told, is that what you were told, that this is what is going to make you acceptable to people? Is this what's is this what you were told is going to make people like you? For instance, me, I've always had this professional image because of my childhood. When I was growing up, I was academically intelligent and went to university and all of that. So always this professional image of and I also like to read and write. I still do. I still love to read and write, So all of that came together to what do you call it? To build this professional character. But that's just one side of me. That's not the only side of me, And there are other parts of me that are unruly. There are other parts of me that are disobedient. There's other parts of me that are is going to be frowned upon by society. There are other parts of me that are like a troublemaker, unstructured, all of that. So as the outcast, it's not that you have to disregard the image that you were raised with, but you have to bring these other things up too now, because that is also part of your nature, and it's actually those areas, those parts of you that you're really going to thrive in, because those are the parts that are really, really more your nature than the part of you that has been what's the word? It's been, is it crafted? Not it's kind of like you're put into a perfect little box where all your edges are like the same size, and you cannot go out, you cannot draw outside the line. You That's what professionalism is like. There's certain things you cannot say, like me, if I was like a professional person, like if I was like now on this video, on this video, and I was presenting myself as a professional person, what professionalism looks like, or by society, what it's said to look like, is you have to wear a suit. Like you kind of have to wear, maybe you have to wear a suit, you have to wear You have to cover yourself up. You have to maybe pull your hair back. Your hair cannot be like all up or curly and wavy. And you have to have notes, and you have to make sure that everything flows. Like you have to start with the first line of the topic, then you go to the second one, then the third one, the fourth one, and you cannot swear, and you cannot look confused, and you cannot you have to be structured. Like you have to have like a fixed structure that you cannot go out of. As the outcast, you can't be in that. That's gonna kill your magic. It's gonna kill your magic. It's gonna kill who you are as the outcast. You're not gonna thrive in that area. That area is gonna stifle you. You're not gonna get fulfillment out of it. There's only so far you can go as the outcast. If you've been the outcast since you were young, that's not where you're gonna thrive. Okay, so let me move on. The fourth thing that I have is never explain. You set the tone and the standard. As the outcast, you don't explain to people how you're doing things. You don't come on the video and you say, okay, I'm doing this because I'm, this and that. Okay, what I'm trying to say, you don't bend back, you don't bend over backwards. You don't, what's the expression? You don't bend over backwards. You don't bend, yeah. You don't do too much in that way. You just say what you want to say, and trust that the outcasts like you will understand you. You don't try to cater to everybody else, because you're not going to cater to everybody else. As the outcast, it's only your fellow outcasts that will understand you. They are the ones that are going to understand you first. The rest of the population, they might not even like you. They might not understand you. They might even frown upon what you're saying, but you're not catering to them. You don't, as the outcast, you can't even explain. You can't explain to people because you're already the outcast, so therefore you have your own rules. As the outcast, that's what you're supposed to nurture now. You're supposed to nurture having your own rules, and stop catering to other people and the rules of society, because that's what took you out of your outcasting or outcastness, or your outcast nature anyway. So you don't cater to society's rules. You do things the way you are called to do them, period. The fifth thing I have is you invade other people's spaces. You invade other people's space, but you don't let other people invade yours. And you're gonna do this naturally anyway, because and also what I mean by this is, like, you as the outcast, if you're gonna be the example to other people, it's you're gonna bring the outcast in other people out of them. You're gonna start helping other people see that part of their nature and bring it out. But you cannot let other people invade your space, because that's the whole point. As the outcast, your nature is almost like it's sealed off, because by nature you're different already. So you have to maintain that difference. Like I said in the other videos, stop trying to fit in. Stop trying to be included. Stop trying to, cater to the collective, because you are not. You're different. You're born different. You're born with a kind of different way of thinking. You always knew that, and people around you knew that too. And that's who you are. So you don't let people make you abandon yourself again. That's what I mean by that. The sixth thing that I only have 9 minutes left. I don't know, time went so fast. The sixth thing I have is, like, let your purpose kill you. As the outcast, There comes a time in your life when you recognize that nothing's going to fulfill you except that you live the life that you came here to live. And no matter how it seems to other people, like whether it looks weird, funny, whatever, um, and that's what you have to follow. You cannot you can't, and you cannot do this with a half and half um, mentality, and you cannot do this with a by having one foot in your purpose and having one foot out in the collective, in case you know, with thinking that in case it doesn't work out, I can just jump back, because you're never going to belong. That's the thinking, you know, as an outcast. That's the thinking that you have to contend with. It's like you have to contend with, and you have to accept that you're never going to belong. You're always going to be the outcast wherever you are. If you look back at your life, your life has already shown you that wherever, in whatever space you are in, you're always going to be, you're always going to feel like you're different. You're always going to feel like you don't fit in. So you have to let your purpose kill you. Follow it to the end, you know. Get to the point where you say, from now on, I'm going to follow my path. And I don't care whether it kills me. I don't care whether I have to sacrifice, you know, who I am and everything inside of it, inside of me. I will, my purpose is what I'm going to follow to the end. And that's where you're going to find your fulfillment and your joy. And you know, that's the consciousness and the thinking behind that is that you're not going to fit in doing things the way other people are doing them. So you might as well just jump into your purpose and let it kill you. The seventh and the last thing that I have is to stop catering and pandering to people and using their reaction to gauge that your purpose, your movement, or your revolution has a right to exist. Many of us have been raised this way, to seek validation from the collective, to gauge whether the collective is accepting or is warming up to what we are saying or how we are being, and then we adjust accordingly. If the collective says yay, we say yay. If the collective says nay, we say nay. We say no. And this is how we abandon ourselves, and this is how we've been trained to abandon ourselves from a very, very young age. And as the outcast, you've done that. You've done that too, and you've actually, it's affected you much more than other people. Because think about it, if you're the person that has always been the outcast and you never fit in, you never felt like you belonged anyway, and you now seek the collective to tell you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing, and you're always pandering. It's like you're always pandering to see the reaction. Whenever you have to make a decision, whenever your intuition tells you to do this, you ask people all around you, should I do it? Should I not? You already know what you're supposed to be doing, but you're still going out because of fear. That's understandable, and facing the unknown. But that's the thing that you should stop. As the outcast, you cannot pander to the collective. You are the outcast already. For you to embrace the outcast, your nature as the outcast, you have to do things your way, and you have to be comfortable doing things your way, and you have to be comfortable um, for people to criticize your way. I'm going to give an example. Let's say, for instance, you're a woman, and let's say you're called. This is just a far-fetched example, but it could exist. Let's say you're called to live in a certain country, you know, and you've had this calling for like quite a while, and you've decided that, okay, now you need to move to be in this country. Maybe it's because of the, I don't know, the spirit of the country, maybe the weather in the country or whatever. But all you know that is that, you know, this country has been calling you, and you now know that you have to go. But before you move, you meet someone, let's say a romantic partner, and that person becomes your partner, and you um, end up in a relationship with them. You end up in a relationship with them, but now you have a dilemma, because you want to move to this other country, but you met somebody, and maybe their career or their life, is in another country, is in the country that you live in right now. You have to find a way, as the outcast, you have to find a way to make it work for you. You cannot completely compromise and say, okay, well, then I'm going to stay. I'm not going to, move to the country that my body or my conscious my not my consciousness, my body is calling me, my spirit is calling me to go. You have to find a way to compromise in a way that will give you the space to be able to live in that country as much as possible, to fulfill your own spirit and to fulfill your own what would I call it, to fulfill your own needs, at the same time fulfill his needs too. But you can't completely give up on your on your um on your calling, because because if you do it as the outcast, you're not, first of all, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be fulfilled. You're not going to be happy. And it's like you abandoning yourself all over again. This is what I'm saying. This is why your relationships cannot look like other people's relationships. Your relationships have to have their own rules. Yeah, they have to have their own rules, because you, as the outcast, you have your own way of being. And you're following that path, and you are drawn to things that are different. So you cannot have a relationship that is programmed. You cannot have a relationship that is being decided by the collective, as in how a relationship should look like, and how it should be like. No, you decide that. You decide that, and this is also what's gonna that's it's gonna help you choose the right partner. Your partner will most likely also be somebody like that, somebody who's also the outcast, and you both understand that you cannot do relationships the way other people are doing them, because you're not gonna abandon your nature as an outcast, but you still want to be in a relationship. So therefore, am I explaining this properly? I think I am. Yeah. Another example I can give is, it's a simple example of maybe going on a date. Maybe you like maybe you don't like going on a date because, like the way people, going on a date, there's certain rules around it, where the collective says you go on a date, you go to a restaurant, or you go to a public place and you meet. Maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you want to do things differently because of who you are. And so you find a partner that, or you find a person, be with somebody who understands that that's how you are. Okay, that's not a very good example. Another example is of a woman who um, thinks that she wants a man who, I don't know, maybe gives her flowers, or yeah, gives her flowers, maybe say every Friday, or I don't know, once every month, or whatever. But she doesn't like flowers, you know. That's a recent thing that I also learned, that because I like flowers, I just assume that everybody likes flowers, but everybody doesn't like flowers. But because it's said that, okay, a gentleman brings a lady flowers. You say, okay, if I'm dating a guy, then he should get me flowers too. But you don't really like flowers. And the way you can tell that you don't really like flowers, or you never really, attracted to flowers, is, have you ever bought flowers for yourself? Have you ever stopped when you've seen, a bunch of flowers somewhere, and looked at them with a sense of amazement? Or are you attracted to flowers in that way? If you're not attracted to flowers in that way, but then you get into a relationship or you're dating, and you tell your date or your partner or whatever to buy you flowers because that's what society says. That's what I'm saying. You don't ask for things in a relationship because society says that this is what a man should do for a woman, or this is what a woman should do for a man. You ask for things because you want them. I like flowers. I love flowers. I even buy myself flowers. I go to the shop. Yeah, I buy myself the 3 pound one. I even buy myself the 1 pound ones. And occasionally I do go to the flower shop and I buy myself the more expensive ones. But I've always bought flowers for myself, whenever I can. I love flowers. I just, they make me feel good. So um when I get into a relationship with a guy and he buys me flowers, or even I even ask him, it's something that I want. It's already something that I want. It's not something that I'm doing or I'm asking for because society says that this is how it should be like. And that's what I'm saying. As a person who's the outcast, you have to do your relationships your own way. You have to decide what. There are other things that I like to do with a man, with my partner, that will be seen as will be frowned upon in society. But I like doing them. That's also another example of doing things in relationships that are outside of society's uh, norms, and making them okay. Um, so, so these are the 7 points I have. Yeah, and these are all points which will help you embrace your nature as the outcast, and begin to nurture this part of you. Begin to accept yourself as the outcast. There's a reason why you've been the outcast since you were young. That's how you were born. Let it be, let it exist. Nurture it. There's something there. That's where your gift is. That's where your magic is. Let it thrive. Stop trying to push it down because people are gonna laugh at you. People are gonna think you're crazy, or people are gonna think you're weird. Okay, so what? You're weird. If you look at um many of the creations in the world, many of the most groundbreaking inventions in the world today, they were created by people who were seen as outcasts, who were seen as a little bit crazy. Think about just one example, think about the aeroplane, the planes that we take today to travel around the world. I'm here in the UK. In 6 hours, I could be in the Gambia. Think about that. Think about how that was created, and how crazy that person had to be to think of something like that. To think of taking a huge piece of metal that is so heavy, and bending it and putting seats in it and flying it across the world. And just think about the mentality of that kind of person. What kind of mentality did that person have to be able to think of something like that? And yeah, in the beginning of every crazy creation, crazy invention, people are gonna rebel against it because people are gonna be scared. People, even with the aeroplane, yeah, people at first, people didn't want to fly in it. People laughed at it. People laughed at the idea. People were scared to fly in it because it was shaky. It wasn't really up to standard, just the way it is right now. But the point I'm making is, there is something, there's power and magic in your nature as the outcast. And in order for you to experience and express that power, you have to start embracing it. You have to start letting it exist. You have to start letting it come out. And this is how you do it. You have to be willing to shock people. You have to let the monsters out, and you have to burn your reputation and your image to the ground and build it back up, but build it back up on your own ground. And all of the things that I said here. All right, okay. I think that's all I have. And I will see you again maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure. I I listen to my intuition. My intuition tells me do this, and I do it. I don't listen to everything because sometimes I am scared to do what it tells me to do. But I'm trying to listen to it more and more and more, and and do what it tells me. Anyway, thank you so much for your time, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.